The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi, I want to welcome everybody to today's webinar. We're going to be talking about corporate sponsorship today. My name is Andrea Root. I am the Accounting Services Coordinator here at CharityNet USA. All right, CharityNet USA we're a one-stop resource center for nonprofit organizations, and we work with clients nationwide. We're here to help you with everything from your startup to continued operations because we want you and your programs to succeed. Some of the most commonly asked questions from people are if the webinar slides will be available for download, and they absolutely will be. And also if the webinar is being recorded and available on demand. And that is also going to be possible. If you look at the bottom of the slide is a link to where our webinars are located. So go ahead and write that down and remember it. So if you miss anything, you can definitely listen to this again. All right, and then at the end of the presentation, I'm going to go through and answer any questions that you may have. So if you look on the screen is a question and answer box. Go ahead and put in any questions that you have throughout the webinar, and at the end I'll go through and answer as many as I can. And then also upon completion of the webinar will be a survey that you'll receive. So go ahead and feel free to send in and give us your feedback about the presentation. All right, on our agenda today is going to be Corporate Sponsorship 101, Identifying Potential Corporate Sponsors, Researching Potential Sponsors and Anticipating Their Needs, and Corporate Sponsorship Campaign Packages. All right, so to get started, Corporate Sponsorship 101. When done correctly, corporate sponsorship can be an excellent fundraising mechanism for an organization. Corporate sponsorship relationships really involve companies providing financial contributions to a nonprofit, event, or a program. And they can really be tailored to either one. And then in return, the nonprofit uses its marketing and communication tools to promote that company's involvement and support of the cause. The corporate sponsorship relationship really does benefit the company providing the funds, the organization itself, and ultimately your program participants. Now, the tools used by nonprofits to promote their company can be so varied. They're really going to depend on your organization's programs, the events you hold, the marketing avenues you have in place. So this could include something as simple as mentioning them on your social media, websites, having their logo on posters, T-shirts, banners, brochures, mentioning them in TV or radio broadcasting, marketing, and other communication material. In the end, it's really just another marketing and promotional tool for the corporation. But the benefit is they can get tax-exempt, tax-deductible contributions by giving that money to your nonprofit in support of their mission. And the benefits for the company really come in the form of reaching a target audience in a unique way and creating some goodwill in the community. However, as an organization, you do want to be really careful how much you give to sponsors in return for their assistance to your programs, because you want to ensure that their contribution remains deductible. For instance, if they're giving you only a couple $100, you don't want to give them everything under the sky. You don't want to have them on your radio broadcasts, have them on your T-shirts, your website, and everything, because that much promotion can be deemed as marketing for the company instead of a corporate sponsorship, and it would remove deductibility. Many organizations really can get confused by corporate sponsorship versus cause marketing. These two are very similar, but the ways they operate are what really makes the difference. Cause marketing is distinct from corporate sponsorship. Oh, we need to go back. All right. Cause marketing is really distinct from corporate sponsorship because the corporate dollars involved in cause marketing efforts are not outright gifts. In cause marketing, the company's financial support is not treated as tax-deductible charitable contributions because generating corporate profits are less direct in corporate sponsorships than in the case of cause marketing. Probably the biggest example that most people know of cause marketing is Yoplait and Susan G. Komen. You see it every time you go into the grocery store, and so that's the one that most people really recognize. With corporate sponsorship, it really sees companies providing financial contributions to a nonprofit in their event or their program, and then the organization in return really just uses its marketing and communication mechanisms to promote that company's involvement in support of the cause. It's not there to promote that company's particular products or services. Whereas cause marketing is a mutually beneficial between the business and the nonprofit organization because that sees the company put the power of its brand and marketing behind the nonprofit's cause to generate profits for both of the organizations. So the company's expectation is that it will directly earn profits from the affiliation. So looking at Yoplait and Susan G. Komen, that's where you see on your yogurts where you send in the lids and Susan G. Komen gets 10 cents. That's really promoting the products of Yoplait with a side benefit of you supporting Susan G. Komen for buying Yoplait's products. Whereas with corporate sponsorship, it's just the nonprofit saying to the public, hey, we just want to thank this company for helping us do what we want to do. Now, the biggest thing for most organizations, attracting corporate sponsors. A nonprofit that wants to really be big with corporate sponsorship has to first change its attitude. Those who succeed typically exhibit two qualities. They are genuinely interested in working with their sponsors because they know that this relationship will provide something of value for both their organization and the sponsor. And additionally, they have that conviction that what they're offering to the sponsor for marketing is really a good investment for them. So nonprofits really need to make sure that their proposal is dynamite, that it provides promotional value to that corporate sponsor by utilizing all of their events, marketing tools, and everything to bring awareness to the corporate sponsor as well as to your program. Now, keys to this are making sure that you have in place your own branding, marketing tools, website, and social media in place. These are things that are going to be key to making the corporate sponsor feel like what they're getting in return for their money has value. Some things you want to ask yourself. You want to ask yourself, are you ready for corporate sponsorship? One aspect is you want to ask yourself about your marketing efforts. Do you have a company email address? Do you have a website? Do you have events planned where you can promote the corporate sponsors? Do you have newsletters, conferences, television, radio, or print advertising? This isn't to say that you have to have all of these things in place, but you definitely want to have some of these things in place, because otherwise, what are you going to use to promote that corporate sponsor to the public? Now you also want to know about your organization's demographics. This is where you're going to look at, who are the people that you're reaching. If you're, for instance, doing something in the medical field, you may not want to be going out to pet supply stores and Walmart and things like that. You may want to be going to doctor's offices. You may want to go to pharmaceutical companies. You want to know, who are the people we're reaching out to, so that you can have a good targeted corporate sponsorship program. You also want to ask yourself, have you worked with corporate sponsors before? Do you have some testimonials from corporate executives about the value of your organization? If not, you may want to, consider doing some networking and get things in place or find people to volunteer within your organization that do have this level of expertise. Other questions you want to ask yourself are, do you have any cross promotions that you can work up that will help sell to your existing sponsors or team up with an existing sponsor? You want to consider, are you part of any civic organizations made up of business people, so that you can kind of gain some insight and entry into the business community? Look at your chambers of commerce and other professional organizations in your area that may align closely with your organization. For instance, if you are in the medical field, do you have a membership to a medical association in your area that you can then network with doctors and hospitals and clinics that would be able to work closely with your organization? Additionally, is there an entrepreneurial spirit in your organization? Are new ideas welcome, or do they receive thoughtful consideration? You really want to be able to have that ability to be comfortable with going out and talking to people and listening to the ideas of others, because they may have something that you hadn't thought about being able to do for the organization or be able to offer to your corporate sponsors. Here are some, just some examples of what you might have on your website or your social media from your sponsors. It's having their logo there. Just telling people, hey, these are the companies that have felt we were a good bet, that we were somebody that they was doing good in the community and that they wanted to support. Now to identifying your potential sponsors, which is going to be a very key thing in your corporate sponsorship endeavor. So you really want to look for companies that sponsor other events or activities similar to yours. For instance, if you're looking to get sponsors for a 5K event, you may want to look at your local sporting goods stores. If you have sports teams in your area, professional sports teams in your area, you may want to approach them. Whereas if you're holding a music event, you may want to look at your local radio stations, magazines, music magazines, record stores, and different things like that that have similar interests. And then if you're not looking to just fund an event, you're looking to fund your program. For instance, if you're an animal rescue, you may want to look at going to Purina, PetSmart, different organizations, companies that focus on animals. You know, and you don't want to just focus on small mom and pop stores. You also want to look at big companies within your area. Now, that leads into, you don't want to just send out your sponsorship proposal to anybody and everybody. This is going to lead to you spending a lot of money that your organization could probably put to better use, and it's not going to yield the results that you can get if you really create a list of targeted potential sponsors, which means these are the people that you really think will consider your request for funding because it closely aligns with their mission, their goals, their beliefs. You know, you want to include companies that may have been sponsors for you in the past, companies that have sponsored similar ideas to yours, and companies that maybe you have a personal connection with. You know, for instance, if you work for FedEx, maybe talk to your company about that, about sponsoring you. You know, once you've developed this list, you really want to put in some research. You want to look at the background of the company, look at, you know, I mean, if they're in financial trouble, if the company you're considering is all of a sudden hitting financial trouble, they may not be the best sponsor. Whereas if they're a growing company, this might be somebody that really is looking to continue bringing awareness into the community. You want to have background information on them that will really help you gain that sponsorship. And then you also want to look for reasons why it would benefit that sponsor to fund your organization's activities. So, and you may also want to look at their website for information on corporate responsibility or other charitable activities they undertake. By doing this, you may be able to easily determine who in that company is responsible for determining if what charitable funding they give out. It may be that you need to send that proposal to a specific person in that company or a specific department that's in charge of making corporate responsibility decisions. And if they don't have something on that on their website, maybe that you want to call them and say, hey, you know, we're such and such organization. We're looking to send you some material on our program for our corporate sponsorship. We wanted to know who it is that we should really address that to so it gets into the right hands. So make sure you really look into the organization before you send out your proposal. You know, the more you know about the companies that you seek for corporate sponsorship, the more successful you're going to be in the less wasteful dollars you'll spend in sending out sponsorship proposals that either don't get into the right hands or are sent to a company that really doesn't align with your organization. So you really want to learn the demographics of those companies, their business model, and the goals of your potential sponsors. And in this way, you can start developing the best way to pitch that sponsorship to the person. You really want to, and this will also help you determine the best levels of recognition to offer to each potential sponsor. For instance, you may not want to offer that $10,000 level sponsorship to a company, to a small mom and pop store that may only really have $500 to $1,000 in their charitable giving budget. Whereas you don't want to approach a massive corporation and say, oh, we just want like $500 when you could potentially be getting $10,000 from them. You know, this corporate sponsorship is really going to help them, not only help you get the funding you need, but also enable the company to reduce their taxable income because they're going to be able to take that right off on their taxes. In sending out your sponsorship packets, really be judicious in sending out the packets. Send them only to the companies that you really think will work with your organization's programs. By sending, like we said, if you send it out to anybody and everybody, it's just kind of almost throwing money down the drain. Think of the times when you've gotten materials in the mail from a nonprofit. For instance, for years, their organizations were sending out packets with asking you to donate, and they had in their stamps or personalized mailing labels. They sent that to anybody and everybody, and the vast majority of people probably just used the mailing labels and threw everything else away. That's a lot of wasted money. When if they just targeted to the people that really would support their organization, it would have been much more effective. And then when you're sending out the sponsorship packages to your identified potential sponsors, make sure you personalize every single email, the packet, the correspondence. Make sure you address it not to whom it would concern. Address it to the person who's responsible for the corporate giving in that company. It makes it seem much more personal to that person, and it really shows that company that you spent the time and effort to look into them and determine who it is that is the decision maker. Finally, you need to follow up. Don't just send the packet out and then sit back and wait for the phone calls to come flooding in and the checks to come flooding in. Make sure you call within a week or two to check on the proposals. Make sure they even received it. We all know that the United States Postal Service may lose mail from time to time, so you want to make sure they got it. And if they did get it, you want to ask them if they have any questions. See where they're at and make sure that they know how to reach you once they've made a decision on funding your organization. Finally, CharityNet's capacity building service. Our corporate sponsorship package is really designed to assist your organization in laying a solid foundation for its growth and promotion of its programs within the community. The corporate sponsorship package that we have developed includes a corporate sponsorship brochure development, a sponsorship request letter development, sample corporate sponsorship benefit levels, so you can either use our sample ones or use those as a guide to help you develop your own. And it also includes a fundraising toolkit and a cause marketing toolkit to really help you with those additional efforts. So that's all we have to talk about today for corporate sponsorship. Some upcoming webinars that we have on the 8th of April, we have our grant campaign development for nonprofits. And on the 22nd of April, we have combining online marketing and fundraising. Both of these are going to be excellent for your organization's continued growth and development. All right, so now what we're going to do is answer some questions that people have. Yes, I will absolutely go back and show the web access at the end of this slide. Let me actually go back to that now, so as I answer the questions, so everybody can get that written down. And there we go. Yes, you can absolutely consider another, the question here was, should you ever consider another nonprofit organization like the March of Dimes? absolutely consider another nonprofit. It may be that your programs closely align, and you guys can collaborate together on a project. Or, it may be that their project closely aligns with the event that you're doing, and so they may really want to help support your organization. Actually, for the question is, can you please send the date for your April webinars? If you go to our website that I have on the screen right now, and once the presentation is uploaded to that website, you'll be able to access those, and you can also go to our website and see the dates that upcoming webinars are scheduled for. The question here is, with the 501c prep, do you charge reduced fees if the packet just needs updates? So long as we were the ones that prepared your 501c3 application and we have your application on file, yes, we do charge a reduced fee for updating of the application. If your application was prepared by us more than a year ago, you definitely want to get it updated, because the IRS actually did update the 501c3 application right at the beginning of 2014. So if your application was prepared before then, at this stage it is out of date. And then if you've been operating, the organization's been operating, it may need additional updates to provide past financials and stuff like that. Just give us a call and we can go over with you what needs to be updated and any costs entailed in that update. The question here is, how do you obtain a corporate packet? If you're interested in our corporate sponsorship program, you can absolutely call our office, email us, and I'm going to go forward and show you the contact information that you can use. All right. On your screen right now is contact information for our company, so you can go online to our website, charitynetusa.com, to look at the services we have available and get additional information, or you can call our office at 407-857-9002, and you can talk to somebody in our sales department, and they can go over the different products. Additionally, you can email either myself or our marketing director, Jared McCovery, and both of our email addresses are on the screen. My email is Andrea@bizcentralusa.com, and Jared's email is jmccovery@bizcentralusa.com. Anybody here would be happy to talk to you about the corporate sponsorship package that we have available. All right, the question here is, how would you verbally answer the question of why you have different levels of sponsorship? If somebody asks you that, there's a couple different things. One, you want to provide, you just want to tell them, listen, we provide different levels of sponsorship to meet the needs of a variety of corporations from small to large. Additionally, we also, the more funding that you provide to an organization, we feel that you should receive more, more in return for that funding, and vice versa. The less funding you provide, the less we can provide in return to ensure the deductibility of your contribution to the organization. Absolutely. The question here is, can you go back to your additional services? And I can definitely put the slides back here. You'll see on your screen what our additional services are, which includes 501c3 preparation, grant writing, the corporate sponsorship campaigns that we're talking about, fundraising tools and resources, strategic planning, website development, graphic design, marketing, bookkeeping and accounting, and then also hourly nonprofit consultation. The question is, how much is our grant writing services? Grant writing services vary based on the package that you pursue. We have a grant package 3, grant package 5, and a grant package 10. Basically what that means is we would write a proposal, and then we would research and find either 3, 5, or 10 funders for you to submit that proposal to, and customize letters and stuff like that, and any applications needed for those funders. If you're interested in that service, please call into our office, go on our website, or email Jared or I, and we can get you information regarding the grant writing service. The question here is, do you assist in finding grants? And yes, through our grant writing service, we absolutely can assist you in finding grants. Our grant writing packages are designed for private foundations, but we do also provide the service for government grants. With that, if you do research and find a government grant that you're interested in, we can do a review to see what the requirements are and how much time it would take for a government grant, and then we would give you a quote on that particular government grant. All right, the next question is, what are the bookkeeping and consultation services? Bookkeeping services include monthly entry into QuickBooks of the organization's income and expense information, and providing of monthly P&L and profit and loss statements and balance sheets. And with the accounting, we can also provide preparation of your annual tax returns for both the state and the IRS. The hourly nonprofit consultation is if you have questions on program changes you want to make, or a new program you want to implement, or just on organization operations, you can purchase consultation time with our Director of Nonprofit Services, Melanie Swift. She has her master's degree in nonprofit management and has really made working with nonprofits her life's work. Pretty much, she's one of the smartest people I've ever met, and if she doesn't know the answer right off the top of her head, she knows where she can go to research and find the answer for you. All right, the question here is, if I already have a grant in mind, I would just like someone to actually write the grant. That is absolutely something that we could assist you with. If you want to give us a call and send in information on the grant that you have in mind, we can give you a quote on how much it would cost for writing the proposal for that particular grant. And the question here is, how legitimate is the company and what is the success rate? Our company has been around since 2005. We've been in our current offices since 2007. I've actually worked for the company myself since 2007, so we are quite legitimate. We've helped thousands of clients, both for-profit and non-profit. And with the success rate, it's really hard to answer because many people or many organizations don't come back to us and tell us when they've had success with the grant or the corporate sponsorship. I do know that we have had quite a few clients have success with our services, but unfortunately, like I said, most people don't come back and tell us whether or not they received a grant or they received corporate sponsorship funding. So it's really hard for us to provide an accurate success rate. For grants, we really advise that you expect the industry average of 20, getting a positive response in, 1 in 5, so about 20%, because grants are a competitive arena. And the success with your corporate sponsorship campaign, it really depends on how much work you're willing to put into the campaign and how much your programs are, well thought out and put together. Because the more you have that, the more you have marketing in place, branding in place, a website, social media, the more of that you have in place, the more successful your corporate sponsorship campaign is going to be. The question here is, how do corporations review receiving sponsorship proposals? It would seem that some contact might need to happen first in building a relationship. How to start building a relationship. This can be true, yes. Some companies may not want to receive an unsolicited corporate sponsorship proposal. You may need to go on their website, see what their corporate responsibility guidelines are, because they may have requests that you call somebody or that you email in, or they may have information on their website on what their procedure is. Or if they don't have anything like that, you definitely want to call the company and say, hey, listen, I'm from ABC Corp. We're looking to send you some information regarding our corporate sponsorship program. I really would love to speak with somebody about that. Who is the best person to talk to about that? And can I get their email or their phone number so I can reach out to them before I send out the proposal? That is always a great idea to do, to reach out so that you know that your proposal is going to be well received and it's going to get into the hands of the correct person. All right. Question here is, what are the fees for bookkeeping and consultations? Our fees for bookkeeping really vary based on the organization's income and the complexity of your record keeping. But we do have information on our website, and if you call in, we can kind of go over that and send you information regarding the bookkeeping. As to the consultations are billed at $75 an hour with a 2-hour minimum purchase. You can, however, use that consultation time in half-hour increments, so you don't have to use it all at once. You can use it almost like a retainer service where you buy a couple hours and use a half hour, an hour here and there until the time is used up. The question here is, can we ask for grants from places like Burger King? It really depends. Some companies like that do have grant programs in place, and some don't. You would really want to go onto their website and look at their corporate responsibility and see if they have a grant, a grant program in place. Some corporations do, some corporations don't. I don't in particular know if Burger King has a grant program in place, but I'm sure they have some kind of corporate responsibility program in place. Many of the larger companies do have something like that in place. The question here is, do you offer grant writing training? No, at this time we do not offer grant writing training. Since that is a service that we provide, we don't offer that. But if you attend our webinar, our next webinar, which is on the 8th, that is going to talk about grant writing campaigns, and you can get a little bit more information about grant writing. The question here is, have any experience with international grant success? Primarily, our grants are targeted towards U.S. 501c3 organizations, not international NGOs. And then if you're looking to fund international activities, you definitely want to have a very well thought out program, because international grants are a little bit more rare than domestic grants, and they're a little bit more competitive than domestic grants are. So you definitely want to make sure you have everything well thought out and in place for that grant campaign. All right, the question here is, this organization is a nonprofit that gives grants to poor countries, but they're not really sure how to maintain paperwork for the IRS. Can we help in maintaining proper documentations? Absolutely. We can help you through our bookkeeping and accounting services. Through our bookkeeping, we can make sure to help track which organizations in those countries you're providing grants to, and we can assist you with the preparation of your tax returns. That is definitely something that we can help you with, and we do it all the time for organizations. All right. The question here is, when you request sponsorship, do you ask for exact things, items, money, or do you let them figure it out for their needs? It depends on what kind of relationship you've really established with the organization. If you know that it's a very small company and they may not have a lot of money, you may say, hey, listen, here's our grant, here's our corporate sponsorship proposal. I would really maybe, based on, discussions that we've had, I would really probably recommend, the gold level sponsorship for you. It's $500. This is what you're going to receive in return. So really feel out as you're talking to the person responsible for the corporate giving, feel out where they may be money-wise. And in your corporate sponsorship, you could ask them, say, hey, listen, our corporate sponsorship, we're not just looking for cash, we're looking for computers, we're looking for this. That's something you could build in to your corporate sponsorship package, is not just asking for money, but also items like, computer equipment, medical equipment, and, clothing, sporting goods, stuff like that. So you can definitely build that into the proposal. All right. Well, that looks like all the questions that we have today. Just to let you see it again, on the screen is contact information for us. Again, our website is CharityNetUSA.com, and the phone number is 407-857-9002, and our marketing director's email is jmccovery@bizcentralusa.com, and his name is Jared. And then if you want to reach me, my contact information is Andrea@bizcentralusa.com. You can also find us on Twitter at CharityNetUSA, or on our Facebook fan page of CharityNetUSA. And thank you for attending our corporate sponsorship webinar.